Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dale. Ronyak been a fantastic show for you. A star guided us in this week's Living Story episode. Spoilers at the end, so don't worry. Raiders venture into the new wing Mythrite Gambit, and the Kung Fu Tea promo returns. And much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. She is an editor over at Guildmag, writes for MMORPG.com, and also her own site, MMORly.com. Her roar might be wavering this week, but her conviction to the podcast never wavers. Say hello to Robin.
Hi. Yeah, my voice is pretty terrible. I'm getting over being sick, so I apologize. I don't even think I can do like any kind of roar at the moment. Like little kitten. Roar.
Oh, that is proof that she is sick right there. That was the most sad roar ever.
Oh.
But all right. Well, if you haven't noticed, Malfanis and Age are not here today. But we will soldier on. So like I said in the intro, we will be talking story spoiler, but we will be saving that for the end, and as we always ask chat as well, to save spoilers for the end as well. We will give ample warning just in case if you're just listening to this, you can pause or whatever and always come back to it. And there's always going to be the timestamps if you're watching this on YouTube that we'll have it labeled as spoilers. So
Right.
We will be talking as much as we can about the Living World season, about the map and stuff, while avoiding spoilers as best as possible. But, you know, so we will jump right into it. So Tuesday, we got the new episode 4, a star to guide us.
There you go.
There you go.
That was awesome, damn.
Oh, it's been a long week. But yeah, it seems like, and we could kind of tell, I think, from the trailer as well, that it seemed like it was going to center around Arena Camp. It kind of gave us a lot of flashbacks, and
Right.
and that was from last week. So, in case if you haven't seen that, then you're really trying to avoid any shred of spoiler.
I have to say, their trailer game, the last couple have been amazing. I'm really impressed with their last few trailers. So, yay.
But like I said, that's pretty as much as the story we can say without getting into spoilers. So we'll talk about kind of the new map. They talked about the Jahai Bluffs. So it's definitely a unique map, and one of the things it utilizes is different environments, and I think that's the best way we can say without going too much into the story aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it definitely utilizes different environments throughout Tyria.
I was gonna say, I think this map has the most like land diversity in any map that we've ever seen.
Yes.
Which is really nice to see because it gives it a lot more variety. But yeah, like you can run all over the map and pass through all kinds of different areas. My favorite thing about the map is the tornado that goes around.
And if we were kind of wondering that with the trailer at the very end, you see like a tornado coming through, and I was gonna say, I don't think it's an event; it's just going through the map basically, and
it's
you
always
can actually
going around there.
Yeah, you can actually get sucked up into it, and actually, if you have a glider, or if I guess you have the Griffin skill where you can mount while in midair, you can actually kind of glide off of it, which is definitely pretty cool. But it is hard to outrun.
Which actually today I was on the map before the show, and I was near a place where there was a mastery point way up high, and I was looking at it trying to figure out how I could get to it, like, because the way the thing was, I was like, I don't think I can do a springer for it, because like it just, the way the levels were, it looked like it was too spread. And as I was sitting there wondering about it, the tornado was coming right by there. I was like, hey, I wonder if I go in there and go up with the glider, if I'll land at the thing. So I went up, and I think the first time it was a little bit too far away because I wasn't quite going to make it. So I came back, went back into the tornado, came up, and was able to land right on the mastery point, which was amazing. I was like, yay, I don't know if that's the intended way to get there, but I don't care.
You just Wizard of Oz that mastery point. You just were like landed on it, nailed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. But the tornado is also funny because like until you get to the middle and you're going up, you're taking damage. So like it'll come by in areas where you're doing events and stuff, and it's like, finish the event quickly because it's gonna get crazy in a second.
Yeah, as I was like kind of going through the story, you know, as per usual, you have to travel around the map and stuff. There's been times where it's like I would turn the corner and it's like cycling through towards me. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yep, you're like,
Like I think the first time I got caught in it because I wasn't sure if it was like going to do damage or whatnot, and I'm like, you know, I started slowing down and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to escape this. Uh-oh. Oh no.
Right. Yep. Yeah, no, like it was funny because I did the preview with ArenaNet and they were like, yeah, go in there. We're like, are you trying to kill us? Like,
No, you go in there.
Right.
Everything in my life so far has told me not to go towards one.
Right.
And this one's purple. I haven't even seen a purple one in real life.
Yeah. So
not a chance.
It was funny. It was a good moment. But yeah. I love that. Whoever came up with the idea to have a roving tornado in the zone, like they should get a bonus or something. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice touch, and like you said, you can actually utilize it to your advantage. It's
right. Yeah.
And I do have to say, I'm kind of interested that they've utilized actually old masteries as well in parts of the map.
Right.
And what I'm saying is in Heart of Thorn, if you have Heart of Thorns masteries, there are things that you can do to make your time there a little bit easier. It's not required, so it's just you're not going to be able to access those things from that spot. You have to go a different route. But so I was actually surprised. I was like, that's actually a nice touch because so far they've all kind of been sectioned off. Like, you know, it's
there's no real crossover often, which is a really good thing for them to keep doing. Because like I've talked about this before, but one of the annoying things that annoys me, like I play World of Warcraft a lot, and like every expansion we abandon whatever the thing from the expansion before was, and it always annoys me. But I'm really enjoying that they're pulling in masteries and stuff from other expansions to help augment. And like I know we're not getting a expansion at the end of this season. They said we're going into the next one, but if we get another expansion, it makes me helpful that they'll still like think about mounts and getting around and how we can utilize those in the new zones as well, which is fantastic. I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where they go with masteries and how they can possibly utilize even older ones, or because that was one of the annoying things, and it made me realize I think I like how they're doing the masteries in POF, where they had kind of the base theme of mounts, but now in in the Living Stories, there's skills to enhance it, whereas in Heart of Thorns comparatively, you had the different gimmicks, the glider, the bouncing mushrooms, the adrenaline mushroom things, but then you had each new Living Story map had its own mechanic that you had to learn basically to progress the map, whereas this one you don't have to.
Right.
Which it's like I kind of like that more, but it does make it more fun once you do have those extra little
It just
skills.
gives you extra things you can do, which is fun. And once you can do them, you're like, you discover this whole new thing. And that's also one of the things I love about this map is there's so many hidden things that are out there for people to discover, like just wandering around. And I love it when they do that because for me, that's the core of what I love about Guild Wars 2 is just wandering around, doing random events and then stumbling on like whatever, just randomly being like, oh, that's neat. I didn't know that was here. Cool,
And I guess before we get to the new mastery, like the other kind of big thing that hit with it, which might be a little bit tough to talk about without spoilers, but the new Sun's Refuge instance, which they talked about and kind of hinted at a little bit with the trailer, but they definitely did talk about it. I'm curious how do you like it so far, and maybe even chat, how do you like that we have this little base camp?
Yeah, I really like that they added it. It's neat. One of the cool things that I don't know that people have realized yet, but they told us about it is over the course, depending on where you are in the story, the NPCs that are in your refuge are going to change. There'll be different ones there, and they'll have different comments and different things that they'll say about things, which helps it helps anchor it more in the current whatever. Like even moving forward into other episodes, they can keep that up. We keep using it as an base of operations. It would really help keep it keyed into everything current and make it feel like it's evolving, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And I do have to say, I have to get like going back to the map as a whole. I do have to give him credit because I think not even in like POF and not really that much in Hot have I kind of wanted to go back to the map in Guild Wars 1 and kind of like be like, get that feel. Like I felt like that a lot in kind of core Guild Wars 2, where it was like, oh, Draknar's underwater now. It's like kind of seeing the differences, or this area. I never really got that feeling with even POF that was still kind of these same areas, because Heart of Thorns kind of went into areas that we didn't really have that much access to at near the end.
Right.
So it was kind of like, well, it's kind of all new, but or changed so much that it's like, oh, remember that statue from the last game that's still here, you know, it's whereas this, it seemed like POF was kind of going back to the whole Guild Wars 2 core of like, oh, we're going on, you know, terrain that we've been on. And so I started noticing, like when I was trying to ride around trying to basically find Sun's refuge, and I was like, this feels familiar. Like I recognize like this part of it, and I was like, if I remember correctly, it should be somehow wherever. Oh, there it is. Like
yeah.
So,
well, that's the other thing, that there's multiple exits and entries to the place too. Like, you know, you can take the main portal, but there's also other ways you can get in and out, which is neat. There are already things that through the collections and whatnot you unlock and it'll change, but I think they also left enough room in there that they can grow and add things down the line.
Yeah, definitely. And like we were kind of hinting at earlier, which was the new Mastery Bond of Vigor, which unlocks the ability to temporarily increase your mount's endurance regeneration. And yeah, that has, like we said, it definitely enhances basically the core POF, you know, all the mounts.
Yeah.
And even, you know, I guess the roller beetle that we also got as well. But yeah, that's definitely crazier. But go ahead.
Yeah, I like that also. It definitely makes getting around the map easier because they're so densely packed with, this map is very densely packed with bad guys, but at the same time, like, it's not necessary either. Like it essentially just makes it so that you need to be less careful about how you're traversing through and whatever. You can be a little more cavalier, which is nice. I like that balance. Like, it's worth getting, but it's not something that you feel like you're horribly gimped if you don't have.
Any final thoughts on the map in general?
Oh, another thing that is awesome. You notice in the map, all the people who have unlockable collections for you in the map have a little square blue box with a crown in it over their head. So like you can find them on your map really easy, and you know that they have something unlockable. And right now that's only in the map, but they were telling us that they are planning to, at some point, you know, they don't know when, but there's probably a lot of things they got to work out to make it work, but get that rolled out to the rest of the game too, to help people, you know, find people who have collections for them to unlock, which is awesome. It's a nice quality of life thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely helped, because I think at the end when I streamed it yesterday, I was like, I noticed the crown thing, I was like, well, what's this? And it was like, unlocks a collection. I was like, oh, nice. That's so, like you said, it's so handy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's awesome. Because like it's easy when you're running around the map and being like, there's somebody here who has a collection because I looked it up online. Where are they?
Yeah,
right.
that's
it's funny.
And it seems like, you know, chat is agreeing that they really do like the living world map. So, you know, way to go, you know, ANET devs. You knocked it out of the park. It's
great.
But and I know I'm probably gonna get yelled at, but the Also, you know, we talked about it last week. We got the new legendary scepter,
Hmm.
Zuquatl.
I forget how we
Yeah,
came to
I got yelled at
remember.
last time, and
Yeah.
I just I was never
Oh
good at
yeah.
language in school. When they were like, say it like this, I'm like, all right, I
Um,
apologize.
yeah, no, I thought it was funny too because like I had just gotten done with the Tomb Raider, which is really very Central and South American focused, and then they came out with this thing right about the same time, which this name is I don't know if it's Incan Maya or Aztec, but it's right in there with all of that. So I thought that I don't know if they did it on purpose, but I thought that
Okay,
was pretty fun.
it's pronounced like she will coddle. Okay, sorry, I knew it was something like that.
It's a cool legendary too. I really like it. Originally I was like, I don't know if I'll make it, but now I really want to, and I'm
Yeah,
like, well, I could use it on my elementalist. I don't use scepter right now, but I could.
yeah, I could definitely see using it on like a necro, especially. It's like you just get another little minion. It's like
Mhm.
because yeah, as you can see,
Yeah.
like I have the pictures from last
Oh,
week where they kind of showed off the. uh I'm trying to remember if people were angry what if we call it when we called it a dragon. But
well, I mean, it kind of is. It's like a snake dragon. Like there are different
uh,
kinds of dragons. It's not all like the high fantasy style dragon with the four legs. There's ones with snake bodies too. Um, but what was I gonna say? La la. Oh, the other thing about it using it on a necro is it's very green. Like the snake dragon is
if you're
green and
going
the
for that,
effects on it are green, and like necro is always like kind of associated with the green color in the game. So just one of the things I thought about randomly.
chat saying it's a winged serpent, not a dragon. So a winged lizard sounds like a dragon to me. Um,
Well, I mean, but think of like, Chinese dragons essentially. They very often don't have legs necessarily. So it's
yeah,
kind
they
of the
have
same.
human legs. I've seen them before at parades.
Yeah,
Bring it
but
on,
yeah.
internet comments. Be mad.
Hmm. Oh, and it the little pet does not attack with you. He's just hanging out, having a
Yeah, I
good
saw a
time.
lot of people like hoping for that. I'm like, really?
I was like, it would be really cool if it happened, but that would make it a ridiculously overpowered legendary. Like that would not be good. Create Divos. Divos. I don't know how you'd say that.
Yeah, I. um. Well, I mean, you're just like I would even consider the crate kind of dragon-like. I mean,
Hmm.
there's
I mean,
snake
dragons
reptilian-like.
are serpents. That's like part of what it is. Even when you get into the high fantasy dragon, you look at their face and you cannot say that it's not snake-ish in some ways.
I
Like,
mean, I don't know if they just luckily matched these up, but I remember some of the original Guild Wars 1 artwork of like when they talked about like the serpents and like stuff. I think it was more so looking like the one from the legendary and from
mm,
the actual uh culture, but they were more winged
serpentine.
serpents and
Yeah.
not as much dragon like.
Hmm.
But
Snakes actually evolved from lizards. They lost their legs essentially, so they're all related. Just what is it? I think it's called a skink. Skink, something like that.
and to be
There's some
fair,
kind of.
I like how Chad's saying dragons aren't snakes. Also, dragons don't exist. I mean, in the
Yes, they
end.
do, Deo.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Dragons exist.
That's right. What the what's his name? That's on the Welsh flag. The dude slayed the last dragon or something. Yeah, they exist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
I hope hopefully someone asked them. Are you sure it was a dragon and not a snake with wings? Or
the snake that got a hold of Red Bull. I like it.
oh boy, how we just jumped down that pit and probably angered a lot of people. So all right, this is gonna be a fun week.
I feel like like most dragons have 4 legs and not 6 too. Like, I feel like the 6-legged dragon is just a specific
Wait, what?
branch of dragon kind.
Dragons have 6? What? Okay, I'm greatly confused. Well,
apparently there was something on Discovery about dragons, so therefore they are real.
there's not much reality on Discovery Channel much lately. I mean, but we digress.
We've gone way off track. 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 wings. I don't think they usually have arms. I'd say they have 4 legs, 2 wings. That's just me, though. I don't know.
I have no idea.
They have
as many as they need.
They're
also
now wizards as well.
Yeah, they all hang out at the Wizard's Tower.
Right.
But we also got the new upgradable armor that they talked about, the Elegy set, and also you can upgrade it to the Requiem set, which thank you to Dolphy. Check out Dolphy.net for guides and also gem store stuff, which we will definitely talk about later. But you can kind of see on the left there is the Elegy set, and then on the right is the upgradable Requiem set, and it goes light for female, light for male, and then as that progresses, light, medium, and heavy. So
yeah, which I hate to say it, but like the Requiem set is nice and all, but I definitely prefer the Elegy base set. Like, I don't know why. It looks in general better to me without all the flashy stuff, especially the light.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I saw them, like, they kind of teased leading up to it with a like little gif of them like upgrade, like switching over the upgrade. All the ones except for the heavy, I was like, okay, the heavy one kind of like looks, but it's like for the light and medium, it just looked like it gave them like a little like glowy chest plate, and I was like, okay, like,
yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, no, I mean, it's fine. It looks good. And like, you can dye all the glowy bits, like, so that's nice. And since they're armors, you can mix and match, which is cool.
They can dye the glowy bits. So if what you're saying to me, how quickly can I check Reddit and find so the new armor gets that, but not the legendary armor? Like, how quickly can we find that post?
Oh, man.
Oh, and chat saying they were kind of disappointed that they were just aesthetics and not even ascended.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of happy that they weren't new ascended gear looks, because, like, I don't know. I find building ascended gear annoying. It just, that whole process annoys me. I just want more armor.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would imagine the collection would have to be harder for that. And because, I mean, it wasn't just aesthetic. It does, because I heard people saying it gives you it as like it's basically exotic, which, yes, if you have ascended already, you are just getting it for the skin, which I mean, that's how 99% of the skins work in the game is at this point. I mean,
as far as I'm concerned, I would be fine if it just unlocked an armor skin instead of just giving me an actual piece of thing. Because, I mean, I'm not going to use it unless it's ascended or legendary, but making all of those are just annoying. So
yeah, it's kind of like what chat is saying. Like, at the end of the day, that's all we want is the skins. Because I was going to say, like, I made Volcanus. I didn't make it because I was like, I need a great sword. Oh, I haven't had this one yet. Like, I want the skin. I mean, but it's like, yeah, if they were ascended, they were saying, the chat was saying, it would be as annoying of cost as like the astral weapons or something like that. Which, yeah, you're gonna get the lesser vision crystals or whatever have you.
Yeah, but it's awesome because, like, essentially we got 6 armor skins, both sets. Like, that's nice. 6 armor sets, I should say, because individual pieces.
And chat is raising up a good point, and it would probably require a bunch of the marks to make. Yeah, let's not do that.
No. Yeah.
Let's somehow try to get rid of that system.
But no, I'm happy they went the way they went with it, because it makes it more accessible for people. And like, I mean, it's good to have some exclusive things, but you don't want too many things that are exclusive, you know?
Mm-hmm. Especially because it's not like, you know, I guess it kind of goes back to like legendary armor and the like. Legendary armor requires feats. This is a lot just like kind of doing the living story and then kind of going around the maps and collecting materials. It's more time gated and not that much like kind of just more busy work than actually. You know, I don't want to like downgrade someone that's getting this like because it's nice armor, but it's not you're not achieving. Like it's not like you conquered this boss or. But.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I remember watching the show last week because I wasn't on. At one point, Malthanis was talking about the difference between Ascended and Legendary armor, and he said to him the difference is Legendary armor like or Legendary gear has like a glow. It's like flashy and stuff, and that's the real difference, which I thought was funny because for me personally, I don't care what it looks like at all. Like, I don't care if it's flashy, glowy, whatever. To me, that's not what makes it legendary. To me, what makes it legendary is the ability to change the stats. That's all I care about. Just funny.
Well, though I would imagine, like, I mean, when they came out with the legendary armor, I felt like they had to take it one step further.
Right.
So I think in a lot of people's minds, it is the case of it has to be that next level up, which in this case was basically morphing armor. Which definitely does look cool, but
I definitely
for me, I would probably like I look at that armor and go, yeah, if it doesn't really work out, I will probably just skin it to my armor, but then I have selectable stats, like you're saying. So
I think I'm in the minority on that one, where literally all I care about is being able to change my stats as I want to. So, but it was funny.
Any final thoughts on the Living World, Living World map and stuff as a whole? And we will get to spoilers later, don't worry.
Yeah, I was going to say everything else I would want to say would hinge on
spoilers. Maybe for the people that haven't played the story yet, would you recommend them to go play it? And without saying anything, like just basically like yes or no? Like,
oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I think this is one of the best episodes they've put out so far.
I mean, I would agree. If I mean, especially because if you have POF, it's free. Just log in. If you're listening to this and go, well, even if you don't have POF, log in. You get unlocked. So when you do get it, it unlocks. So no reason not to just hop in and pick it up. Right. So, but chat is talking about the armor thing again. To change the stats, we should have a way to unlock stats and upgrades, then load them with templates. Yeah, well, right. I really feel like
good old templates.
Templates might be something that I don't know. That might be the scary thing. Is it going to require legendary armor? Because that actually puts more value. Because that would be the simpler way if you can stat swap. It's easier data wise. I mean,
I think that could be a problem with templates, but I also have to imagine like. Templates is something like the community as a whole just generally wants, even just for like your builds, not even getting into your armor side of things. So like with that much desire, I have to imagine that there's some kind of like technology, something on the back end that's preventing it, that they would have to put in way too much work for to make happen, or something. Like there's got to be something blocking that, because it's the only reason I can imagine that we haven't gotten it at this point. It's been many years of people being like templates, you know. Yeah,
it's probably something in the code, like it's like they're using wing serpent and dragon interchangeably, and it's just messing up the code all over.
Oh, so one of the things you missed on getting into the code stuff on Guild Chat was they had one of the programmers on, which was cool. It was really neat to hear that side of things. But apparently while they were building Sun's Refuge and doing all of that, they had this issue where, so in the middle of Sun's Refuge, there's this big like fire pit essentially. And they had this point where like the layers were getting like not meshing right. So the pit would just be floating in the air randomly, and they were trying to figure it out. Like they said at one point they had a designer, they had programmers, they had all kinds of people, and they're trying to figure out what was causing the issue, and they got it fixed. But then the next build, it would happen again. So this was a recurring thing every single time. And they were like, why does this keep breaking? What is going on? It took them a while to figure out, like, there was some, like, little thing that was hooking into a thing, or it was a really small error that was causing the problem. And it was just funny to me that it's one of those things where they would fix it, but then in the next build, the exact same thing would happen again. But I forget
it's still,
what you said.
it's the Joko bug, a bug in the system. It's still there. He still is there, everybody. Oh, that's what chat was talking about. So with the whole switching stuff, it would cost, if you had only Ascended gear or whatnot, to switch the stats. I'm curious of how much that would have to be price-wise, because, I mean, you can technically switch the stats on your Ascended gear through Mystic Forge and all that stuff. That takes time and all that stuff. Is it basically the equivalent of that? Because that's a lot of materials just to be sitting in there. And that,
I was going to say it would have to be a huge cost, because like switching, like you can switch your stats on your Ascended gear as is, but it's not easy or cheap. It's not fun. Hate it. In fact, I dislike the stat switching so much that at this point, if I need a piece of gear with different stats or whatever, I just start making a new set, because I'm just like, I'm not messing with it. I know that I'm using way more materials.
You're just like, eventually I'll have them all and I'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't know. It annoys me.
No, I agree. And, you know, that would take one less thing. Like, if they added that would take one less thing away from the Mystic Forge. I mean, whether you like it or not, which, you know, kind of speaking of the Mystic Forge, the new raid wing that we talked a little bit about last week, the Mythrite Gambit. They'll have the little teaser trailer they gave us for that. So basically, you're kind of going into the Mystic Forge. You're invited by Zomaros, but you have to go defeat an enemy. It's basically a challenge between two Jinn. Maybe I'll do it later, chat. But you know, a lot of people are actually kind of raving that this is probably one of the more fun raids and interesting raids.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and it seems like already the top tier raid guilds have already cleared the wing and the challenge mode versions of it. Some of the world first boss was DNT and MNF and some others, and then challenge mode for the first boss was IVT. The last boss was completed by SK, and the last boss challenge mode was LN. So, and apparently I wasn't aware of this, but Salt was removed from the race due to activating the challenge mode before it got disabled, and still attempted CM kills when it was disabled. So was not aware of that, but you know, so congratulations to all the people that tried out, and you know,
that's cool.
That's what I was curious about, and that's one thing I wanted to bring up to chat as well, and also Arlie here was. Yeah, it seems like a lot more people are enjoying it. Does that mean the raid is too easy? Like,
yeah. I think they have unique challenges for them in creating raids, because in most games, like every time you do a raid, you get better gear, so you're gearing up, so your ceiling of what you can do at max is constantly increasing, so they can constantly just increase the damage that these things put out. Guild Wars 2 can't do that, because like while people might get better at maximizing their professions and putting out stuff, there is still a definite ceiling of the most that you can possibly do. So they've got to provide greater and greater challenges from just using more and different mechanics in the bosses, which it's hard to compare between raids, especially raid wings, like the first raid wing. It probably seemed much harder at the time than it actually was, because a lot of people weren't used to rating and what that was and how that worked in any of the mechanics. But now more people are more used to them. They know what to expect. They know how to function as a raid group, so it's easier to move through things. There's also some of that in World of Warcraft too, where people are like, oh, back in vanilla, raids were way harder. And it was like, no, we had less tools to do what we needed to do. So it was harder on that aspect. But the mechanics and shit we see now are far more complex and crazy. So I think I don't know, like, really on the progression doing it, because I haven't done it. But there is some aspect of, like, once you get used to it, even if something is harder, it might seem a little easier just because you're coming at it with more experience already than you did with the thing previous. It's just my thought.
Yeah, because I was say then, like, kind of going off of what Arlie is saying is like she said, with WoW, they can kind of just start increasing the numbers, things hit harder, and then they can kind of also do mechanics in tandem with it, like different ones or mixing them up. Whereas Guild Wars 2 kind of has to solely rely on different mechanics or mixing them up already. Like you said, they can't really just be like, oh yeah, in this raid you have to grind gear now because you for some reason have to get Ascended Plus, like, which you don't worry. Like,
it's much harder to design interesting and difficult fights and mechanics that aren't, like, completely unfair to the players. It's really easy to make a fight that is just really unfair and not fun. But you're trying to make a fight that's fun and it's entertaining and it's engaging. So it's much harder to do it consistently the way Guild Wars 2 is going about doing it, I think.
Yes. So I was even wondering that last night was, people are saying like, oh, it's so easy. It's like, yes, we've had a lot, like, I think a lot of people completed like the dungeons, this dungeon wing, a lot faster than the previous ones.
Right.
Is it because the dungeon's easier, or is the player base getting better? Like, or is it a mix of both? I mean, maybe they made it slightly easier.
Probably a little bit of both. Like, maybe I could easily see that maybe the mechanics on this one aren't as difficult, but there's also definitely some aspect of the players are just getting better and used to figuring this stuff out on how it works.
Well, and even Chad saying, thankfully we have people who solve the puzzles and create strats and show us how to maximize our DPS/healing, which, yeah, once again, it's like, and then people complain that these dungeons or these raids are too easy. Well, because you're looking up a guide. It's like, what if you had to smash your head against it? Because maybe it's harder or easier for the, like, it got completed faster. But I think that's also because we've had, what, 4 wings prior to this? Yeah, 3 for the main one, and then Hall of Chains, correct?
I think so. We had 4.
Four previous ones?
Wing? I think this is...
either way, it's like we said, they have to rely on the mechanics and stuff more so than just bumping up numbers.
Right.
So, I think maybe the pro players have started to learn the tricks and the ins and outs where they can probably clear these things faster, slightly faster. And so, maybe we won't see a difficult bump until maybe there's some kind of new tech involved or...
Which I'm curious with the challenge modes, like, exactly how they did those in this one, because that gives them some room to really flex the difficulty and try to make the most of stuff. Oh, 6th wing, we had 5
previous. The 6th wing?
Wow. I knew we had at least one more, but...
I thought there was 3 in the previous one, or am I just miscounting?
I could have sworn that there was 4 in Hot. 1 came out, like, at the tail end, and then we've had 1 in POF so far, I think. I could be totally misremembering that, but...
And even Chad's saying some of the mechanics they used for this wing is rehashed and mixed, and that's probably what made it so people could...
Yeah, that definitely will affect the difficulty too, because if it's something you've already seen, you're like, all right, I know how to handle this, instead of trying to figure it out. But I like the concept of this this raid more than anything, because like being in the Mystic Forge, it gives them a lot of freedom to do so many things. Like it had to be fun coming up with this and just designing it, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I remember seeing like devs that were saying they were working on it leading up to it, and like we're like, this is probably one of the more fun, entertaining ones that we got to really mess with.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely check it out if you want to hop into it. Remember, you need 10 friends or 9 other friends. Or, if you just want to have a cleared instance, just 10 friends to go clear it out and let you run in, clear it out. That would probably be me.
Poke around at things.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely check it out. And there was a couple new skins there, and some of them looked nice. I wasn't a big fan of I think the main enemies kind of skins, where it was just kind of looked almost like the scrap metal ones from the what are they called? They haven't really been relevant in the story for so long.
I don't know at all what you're
the
trying
mole
to
people.
say. The
Dredge.
Yes.
But it kind of like has like that scrap metal feel to it, but also with like fiery red chains around it, and
yeah. What was I gonna say?
Yeah.
I had a thought and then I lost it. Whatever. I don't think I can say anything else about anything without spoiling it, so I will stop.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have the time and the place for that. So, some things just return, and some don't really know why. Speaking of that, the Kung Fu Tea promo returns.
Yay!
But
everybody's favorite promo comes back.
Yeah, everybody's in the U.S. because apparently it's for U.S. residents only. They their blog, they did a thank you for your patience and understanding. We're resuming the Kung Fu Tea and Cross Guild Wars 2 promotion on Thursday, September 20th at 9 a.m. That's Pacific Daylight Time. And after resuming, please go to Kung Fu Tea app, the social rewards, and claim the Guild Wars 2 reward. If you haven't already done so, you will then receive the codes through the email you use to register for the Kung Fu Tea app. They did state anyone who received a code that's subsequently was disabled will need to reclaim the reward in the app to receive one set of replacement codes. So,
I mean, okay.
And for people that don't know, the Kung Fu Tea promo thing, that it was such a big issue. We were talked about it a couple weeks ago, where originally it seemed like it was for everyone, and then all of a sudden, halfway through like the promotion, it started to say, the advertisement stuff started to say US only.
Well, like there was one part of it that was supposed to be like, there was a sweepstakes part and then there was another part. I don't remember, but like the sweepstakes part was supposed to only be US, but then it turned out all of it was only US. So like, there had to be somebody having some kind of crazy miscommunication somewhere, something.
Oh yeah. But and then there was issues of people saying that because you had to connect it with your like one of your social media things, and there was supposedly it was hacking. People's accounts are getting hacked after they did that, which actually it also reoccurred here. It seems like a Redditor, their Instagram got hacked, and supposedly 6 after linking the Kung Fu Tea app. But they did go on to kind of say that they don't really use Instagram, and they did it on a separate account for the promo, which I think we even recommended was like, if you're that worried, and I know a lot of people in chat said that, like make a dummy Twitter or Instagram or but I think even people were recommending, if you're going to link any account for the promotion, as soon as you are done, log into the account you linked and retract all the permissions and change your password.
Yeah.
Because that sometimes does freak me out, where it's like, hey, do you want this thing to do this? And it's like, access your photos. We can tweet for you. It's like, no.
I know. That's the thing that bothers me too. I don't like things that like, oh, we'll send out tweets for you. I'm like, no, it's not how this works. No.
Yeah. And chat's saying they didn't get their code, but the tea was nice. That's good. Was that the code for the actual like outfit thing? Because the other thing's a contest.
Yeah. Hmm? Well, also, I wonder if you didn't get the code for the previous thing or now.
Which, yeah, they did state you'd have to reapply or reclaim it if that was the case, if it was during that locked out period. But yeah, this overall has kind of been a kung fu snafu, let's just say.
Yeah. I mean, great for the people who got their codes and all of that stuff, but...
And unfortunate for the people that might have possibly got their stuff hacked through this. We don't, we don't really know, but correlation isn't causation. But this is a pretty interesting, set of circumstances.
The other thing is like they totally could have been hacked, but I've seen people complain about their accounts being hacked with this stuff, where it's really just the thing took permission to make posts and they started posting about the thing. And they're like, oh, I'm hacked. I'm like, no, that's not the case of hacked. That's you gave permission for a thing you didn't realize you gave permission for. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of click through the user agreement or something, or when it's like, these are the major things we want permission for, but then you click that little arrow down below where it's like, these are the other things. And it's like, wait, whoa, what?
What? Right.
Why does it say firstborn? Oh, well, that's just in case. We're not going to use it, but...
Right. I love it when they're like, it's just to protect both of us.
Okay. You having my information is protecting both of us. What do you think? I'm going to blackmail you?
Anyways, we're going off on a tangent.
Yeah. And this is all allegedly, in case Kung Fu Tea app is, trying to say it's slander. Allegedly. But yeah, you can spend some money through that Tea app, or you could spend some money through the gem store.
Gems.
Speaking of
holograms. Oh wait.
What's that?
It's a gem and the holograms.
And always think Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net so you can spend your gems more wisely. So the only new thing we got actually in the gem store was the Dreadnought Raptor skin, which is 2,000 gems. But I do want to preface, and as always, this is a skin. It doesn't unlock the mount for you or anything like that. You will need POF to utilize the skin. You could possibly still buy it. I don't know why would you, put that 2,000 gems towards, instead of buying 2,000 gems, maybe buy POF. But
it's pretty cool looking, I think.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it dyes very nicely.
Yeah, and I like the shiny. It's essentially a raptor wearing armor. It's cool, I mean, I'm not buying it because I just spent a whole bunch of money on keys and didn't get my bunny backpack. But
which actually, if you don't want to spend the 2,000 gems, and you have as horrible luck as Arlie, probably don't do this either. But you can also get this mount as an uncommon drop in the new armored assault chests, which are the name for the new Black Lion chests. So you can, possibly get lucky and get it for cheaper, but that is a risk. But there is a definitive way, so, kudos to them, because we know that's one thing we've always said.
Mithrin got the bunny backpack and he didn't even want it. Actually,
I'd get keys and I'd get that, and it's like, I wanted the mount.
Yeah. Oh well.
Okay, and Chad is saying you shouldn't be able to buy mount skins without POF. I wasn't sure.
Oh, any of them. I see. Yeah. That makes sense.
Oh, and Chad is saying it does die well. I wasn't super big on it while I was looking at it in the store, but it has grown on me after seeing a few people with it. Yeah, it definitely seems like the metallic parts, like the, basically armor, dies very well. The cloth, like, kind of draping off of it as, like, for the reins, dies very nicely cloth-wise as well.
I'm sorry, Mithrin was like, I swear the game has a heuristic system that determines what you like and gives you anything but that. That is every MMO I've ever played. It functions like that. I think it's built in the source code of every MMO. It's frustrating.
It definitely does feel that way sometimes, huh?
Yeah.
But, so would you recommend this, or?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want it, totally get it. It's awesome.
Yeah, as you can kind of see right now, it's kind of like dying very. If you're kind of going for like almost like a robotic look, it's like the metallic's dying very nicely on the mount. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you want it. If you can afford the 1,000 gems, 2,000 gems, maybe you get lucky and you can get out of the Black Lion chest. But but yeah, I would definitely recommend picking that up if you so desire it. Last up before we get to spoilers, community corner, and we talked about previous weeks. Definitely check out Kit the Traveler's legendary contest. 20 legendary giveaway. So 5 on Twitch, 5 on Reddit, 5 on her Twitter, 5 on the Guild Wars 2 forums. You can enter in each method, so you can enter 4 times. But you can only win once, so once you get it, you're kind of locked out. The last day to enter is December 1st, 2018, and the drawing is December 24th. So definitely check that out. Are you gonna enter?
Probably not. I am so much not a participator. I don't know why.
You're so antisocial.
Too cool I'm not everybody. A joiner. Are you gonna enter?
I might. I mean, my luck. I guess I can't win Shushu, so that's a good thing.
There you go.
So yeah, definitely might want to see if I can send her like materials to help her out, because
yeah, that's an idea.
Because she does have information on there if you want to send her materials to help her make some of these legendaries. She does recommend do not send her gold, because that could flag the bot things and the automated system.
You see influxes of gold that cause problems.
Yeah, it's gonna seem a bit dodgy. But I also wanted to give a shout out to because they've kind of always been posting in our Discord for self-promotion, and unfortunately every week I forgot to add them. I still have, but I had the reminder, and luckily they're in chat. That's how I remembered.
Oh my gosh.
I felt greatly bad, because as we got to this, I was like, I forgot again. So I do greatly apologize, but in chat is Osset, and she's kind of a variety streamer. She does it seems like she primarily does Guild Wars 2. I think she just finished the Living World story, but I know I've seen her playing some of the Sims, was doing I always want to say Shadows of Mordor. What's the one after that? War of Mordor? I'm bad with the names. What is it? Mordor War.
Mordor War. What are you talking about? Oh, Shadow of Mordor?
Well, Shadow of Mordor was the first one, but she plays a variety of games, but it's always fun to go watch. So we'll throw the link. Actually, if she wants to throw her link in chat, and I'll make sure it gets into the YouTube if people want to go check her out for Guild Wars 2 or other game content. But yeah, it should be twitch.tv/AsetGebnut, which is ASETGEBNUT. So, like I said, I greatly felt bad, because for the longest time she kept posting. We have a little promotion section so other people can find it, other people, and I constantly keep going like, oh, I want to add that, and then when we get to it, I'm like, son of a Shadow of War. Okay, I knew it was something. I don't think I was even close. I was busy putting the Mordor in there.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, if you got the IP, use it. You know. But yeah, so definitely check that out. Is there anything else you want to mention? Or I know you came out with a couple articles, I think, for
just one article on MMORPG, which was a preview of the stuff in the living story, which was really difficult for me to write because I didn't want to do any spoilers in there because that would be crappy. And like there were a lot of cool things. Like I said, there's so much in this episode and the zone and in your instance that can be discovered and found. It just takes poking around at things, and I didn't want to like spoil any of that stuff. So that was really difficult for me. But yeah, it's up there on MMORPG if you want to take a look at it.
Well, I guess this is the moment where we will go into spoiler territory. If you exactly, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna see if I can get my voice out of there, so that can be our soundbite from now on. The spoiler sound, the spoiler alarm. So, you know, thank you everyone for hanging out. If you want to return to this and where we can talk about it more after you complete the story, you know, we'll all. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll have it, you know, time stamped. But yep, we're actually doing spoilers. Like I said, we'll put the spoiler tag up. Let me actually first change the, you know,
the name.
so people know.
Oh, is the World Boss portal still in there available?
I don't think it left.
Okay.
But yeah, it was only in there for a week, so I'd be surprised if they took it out already.
Yeah, it was one of those things I was thinking about getting, but I don't know. I haven't done world bosses in so long, but I was like, but if I have a portal directly to them, I might more often do it. I don't know.
That's what they want you to think.
I know.
All right, let us. Yeah, I'm kind of glad you finished the story too. When you said that, it was like, whew.
Yeah.
All right, let me pop the spoiler tag up. All right, so we'll probably go piece by piece, but let me pull up the thing so we can kind of go piece by piece and instance wise.
I used to do the world boss train often too, but that was like years ago at this point. Before Hot, I don't know why I stopped doing it. I just stopped.
Yeah, right, I used to do it all the time as well, but it was just.
What do you want to start with?
Well, it looks like it begins with. There we go. A Shattered Nation. So, yeah, when you start it, it sends you to, what is it? The bottom corner. What map is that? In Vabi,
yeah.
The Vatendi Vineyard. I just remember that because you always had to go there for the grapes or something for one of the achievements.
Right.
But
yeah, there's like the summit between the different factions. So we find out in the beginning that the Awakened aren't just like mindless zombies still. Like they have awareness, they have feelings or wants. They're essentially people again with free will, which is something I hadn't thought about. I was like, what do you do? Because on the one hand, all of these people lived their lives and died. On the other hand, they're alive again. And it wasn't necessarily by their choice. Some of them, sure, whatever. Some of them not. So, like, I can understand, like, some of the people being like, we should just kill all of them because they're supposed to be dead anyways. But at the same time,
yeah,
that's not necessarily
it's like, yeah, but they're alive. Like,
yeah. Yeah. But so yeah, there's and we had a peek at like some of them are good, some of them are not so good too. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say there's people. A lot of Awakened sub factions.
Yeah, which is really interesting. I'm happy they threw that in. That's an actual like real problem. Like, how do you deal with that? You know.
Waken lives matter. Oh boy. But yeah, it is interesting because yeah, you might have thought of. I think a lot of people thought when we killed Joko, all of them were kind of like just like stopped and stunned.
Right.
And
Which,
I think everybody lumped it in together. It was like, well, what happens to the Awakened now? And now we see it's like it's not just what happens to the Awakened. It's what happens to each individual of the like they all want something different. It's like,
well, the other thing, I never thought about it because when we killed him, they were all stunned, like you said. But now that we've seen them and they're like have personalities and thoughts and all of that, I think what it was initially, like, just imagine like being under the full control of somebody else for years, decades, whatever, and like having to do whatever that person said regardless. And all of a sudden, without any like inclination, but like, hey, you're about to get free will, just have that disappear out of nowhere. Like, that would stun pretty much anybody. Anybody would be like, wait, what is this? Like,
yeah.
So that makes sense on that. On this side of having seen that, I understand why that happened, and it'll be interesting how it plays out in the long run. Can New Awaken be born? I don't think so.
I was gonna say that's like how do you consider, because I mean the way they were brought into the world as Awakened were being resummoned, but that was through Joko. So if you're talking that way, or do you mean as can they reproduce? Which I have no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do Awakened have bodily functions?
I don't know. I did not. I tried to follow some in the instances. They didn't appear to go to the bathroom.
Have you eaten recently? Do you feel like you need to go?
Why isn't that one of the question or dialogue options? Like, so, eaten anything recently?
Yeah. But I also like that the summit didn't get very far along before Aurene crashed it, which was amazing. I wonder, so one of the things they said in the story is Aurene's been flying around and helping people who are getting attacked by various branded and stuff and fighting away the things. I wonder what brought her to the summit specifically. Like, why did she go there?
Yeah, I was saying that's the one reason why we go there is because it was this summit of trying to find peace, and then Aurene just shows up and everybody's like, the dragon that just ate our leader is staring at us.
Right. Like, are you trying to intimidate us into agreeing with your crazy plan? Come on. Yeah.
Which is also another thing. That was the other aspect from some of the Awakened was, they're feeling intimidated. It's like, so you're saying we should basically, since we lost our shackles from this one leader that you're claiming, you want us to trade it to, for another set of shackles to you guys, like, which was another interesting concept from that. So yeah, I definitely liked that they had, it wasn't just the Sun Spears versus the Awakened and Morgan Crescent. It was kind of just sub factions and different opinions. And
like there was one person arguing for them to let them take whoever wanted and make a country or area, city, whatever, of just Awakened so that they can do their own thing and be left alone, which is an interesting concept.
Yeah, I think that was the Grand Vizier Udamushi or whatever his name was. Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, he was also the one like saying like, oh, are you trying to intimidate us with the dragon and stuff like that?
Right.
I won't lie, when he said that, like, oh, we just want a small piece of like land to call our own and stuff, I was like, I got a small piece of land that you can have, and it's the bottom of my boot. I'm gonna put it in your face because you keep like saying you want to hurt my Aurene.
Right.
Like,
so my thought when he said that was like, oh yeah, sure, you want to like your own city so you can build up your forces and become an army and start fighting other people and taking them over. That's what you want because you're terrible. Like,
which, to be fair, that's basically how all Guild Wars has gone through. Different factions of humans and stuff have. Yeah. You're not our human. You're the other human. We fight. Guild Wars.
Yep.
Look, they're trying to bring the Guild Wars back.
And then like the death branded Chatterer shows up, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of scary.
And that's the thing because we were talking about when we saw the trailer was, and this is one question I have was they kind of are leading up to when it was just the Shatterer in Blaze Ridge, correct?
Yeah.
They kind of referred to it as a title, and when you did one of the story instances, and sometimes I think you can see up in the sky there's multiple of these Shatterer like dragons. They specifically say this one was from that area, like, and I was like, so are they not a is it just not a title anymore, or like there's only like why did we only need one Shatterer like that? So that was one confusing thing when they kind of bring that up to us. I was like, did they really have to make it the same Shatterer? Like,
that's interesting. Yeah. I wish we had, because we didn't really fight the Shatterer itself directly. We were just trying to save people and get out and, like, save
that's my one question to maybe you'd even know it is it like a maybe fight in well, actually it disappears in the mist, I guess not.
Yeah, no.
I was gonna say, is it a fight in the map or something? Because I was kind of disappointed that it was
as far as I know, it's not a fight in the map. I haven't done all the events yet, so I can't say I haven't for sure, but
maybe chat has run into it or knows or maybe heard Anet say something about it, but because that is kind of disappointing where it was like, like you said, it's now the death branded Shatter. It's like, what new stuff is it? Oh, it can just paw me. Okay.
Yeah, he's just like, meh, meh. Like, okay. It was kind of sad.
Oh, chat is saying they think it might be a world boss. Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh, you do fight him. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if they actually added him. All right, cool.
That's awesome. Yay. Zacharyox was very emphatic about it.
I can tell it was an accident because you lowercase the Y in the beginning. So
okay.
Caps locked, you had easy mode.
Magnus says that you need a crystal for him and for one of the collections. So.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome. I haven't dug into the collections at all.
I haven't really. Like I said, yesterday was when I got to play the story, so I was kind of solely just getting through it and kind of digesting it.
Right.
But yeah, it was throughout basically the rest of the thing. You go and fight, or you go and fight some death branded minions, and then you
try to save the people.
You basically escort some people.
There is an achievement for saving a certain amount of the people. I lost all except for one of my people.
I think I lost 2 when it was like a room of 3 of them, because at first I was like, I freed one of them and like the other 2 changed in the crystal, and I was like, because at first I couldn't like target the one, and I was like,
right,
or I was trying to lure the other one over. I was like, okay, come over here so you're out of the way of the smashing dragon paw, and that action key thing isn't it wasn't the greatest like of how they were responding to it. So I was like, oh, maybe I have to unlock, free them all first before they will move. So I start hitting the second crystal, and that was too much time.
Right. So. Well, I had my big group, and they were right in front of an area where he had been pawing at, but they were safe. He was like missing them. I was like, fine. And there were 2 other people I needed to get, and I was like, I'll bring them over, then I'll bring the big group over. And right when I was about to bring the big group over, he changed where he was reaching through and got all of them. I was like, seriously? I was like, come on. But yeah, it was funny.
He learned.
I know. Like, you're not supposed to do that. You did like 3 in the same spot. Why did you suddenly move?
you're like in the Matrix. You're like, you're a program. You can't react.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty fun little mission. Like I said, I wish the mechanic of them because you would throw down a target of like calling them to that spot, but then they wouldn't go to that spot, but it had to be close enough because if you threw it near them, they would then run to you wherever you were at. So I really don't know how that was meant to work. I thought originally it was like you casted it down, they would run to that spot, but
Right.
it
That's what I
doesn't
thought
seem the
first too.
case.
No, it's like you basically cast it on them and it gets them to run to wherever you are, which I feel like is the reverse of what we've used it before, because we used something like that in one of the temples during POF.
Yeah, in POF when we are disguised as the Awakened and we have that banner thing, it's basically you send the people to that spot. Like that's how it worked. So yeah, it was kind of odd at first, but yeah. But yeah, so you end up escorting all the people out, and you meet up with what is it? Taimi and Aurene escorted, or Taimi and Aurene kind of were walked away during the beginning of it. Oh, and by the way, the biggest thing, Koss came back.
Yeah, I know.
He appeared out of nowhere because yeah, the Awakened were like, all of a sudden I saw like archers and Awakened archers. I was like, oh snap, this was a trap. And they stun you, and I was like, oh man, are they gonna like kill me and I can't do anything about it? And then all of a sudden Koss is like, you want to fight? And I was like,
what? Yeah, that was a great entrance for him.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
But so yeah, you make it to the end, and all of a sudden you just see Taimi and Aurene's like kind of flying around and gets kind of pushed in by the Shatterer through a portal, and we're like, huh?
Yeah.
And that's when we actually see what's the leader of the Vigil?
Amora.
For some reason I want to say Scorch Razor, but I know that's not right. But Amora Soulkeeper, that's it.
Yeah.
That's where she kind of informs us that is the same Shatterer from the Burning Steps, and yeah, it goes into a portal, and everybody's like, did you just see like the reality open up and engulf them? Like, what the heck just happened?
Did I imagine that? Like, what's going on? Yeah. And then it's like, Taimi's off looking for Aurene, trying to find her. And I think it's Koss who mentions the Sun Spear Sanctuary and how it might be safe, which really interesting. We found out that in this one, if you're underground, you're protected from the brand somehow.
Well, that was because it had like the last bit of Cormier's magic.
But it wasn't active. When we went in there, none of the fires were lit, and he said we needed to lit them to activate the magic. Like, it was just not branded already.
Yeah, that is true, because it was kind of sealed up by webbing.
Yeah, all those spiders. Which but also actually, we found out Bram's afraid of spiders. Who knew?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, actually, slightly before that, and it kind of goes back to the map stuff, was you kind of start learning about these disturbances. And like we said, how the map was so diverse, it's because there's these time disturbances where one's actually
the rifts that are opening up. Yeah,
one's actually a part of the Maguma jungle, which the Chak come back. Which, however you feel about that.
What I was going to say earlier, I was really happy to see in the Maguma jungle biome they have the little bouncy mushrooms and stuff. I was like, yay, mushrooms! I love bouncing on them.
And the other one was actually an area, and it's only labeled as 3 question marks. It's an area that they even describe as not on this, planet.
Right.
It's somewhere else. And it's just kind of it kind of looks like they were just like almost like skeletal mushrooms of like the ones you kind of saw in Maguma.
Right.
Like they were kind of Norn sized-esque. So they were bigger mushrooms. But yeah, they were just all like kind of like white and stuff. And I think you were saying even before the show, it's like they start talking to you.
Right. Like there's this, I guess, gas or something in the area that gives you a bit of a trip. The longer you stay in it, the weirder things get. Like I really suggest anybody just hang out in that area for as long as you can, because there's some great dialogue and craziness happens. At one point, Scarlet Briar will appear and talk to you and attack you. Beach Farron, with the Speedo on, appears.
You'll like Mad King.
Yeah.
Like basically all of Destiny's Edges there. Like you can
Yeah.
fight them. And
It gets crazy. It gets real
yeah.
crazy. Yeah. That had to be fun to design. Oh, you get all bobblehead too. Like everybody becomes bobbleheads. Which is funny.
Yeah, you eventually have to take a, because you basically have to take a sample of the mushrooms, I think, and that's what makes you start hallucinating. And but yeah, then you have to head back to the guy and give him the sample.
Okay. It's Festive Fair, the one with the loincloth and elf hat and ears. That's right. I misremembered that.
Okay. Yay. He was still in a Speedo. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Totally crazy.
Yeah, and then the next one actually takes you, because you have to kind of search these 3 basic rifts in time type thing. And the next one takes you to what looks like an ore, but it's like, what? There's Char fighting here. And then this is when they realize this was when before ore sank the first time. Like this was during the Char invasion. And someone actually told me supposedly if you are a Char, you actually fight for the Char side. I was not aware of that. That's what someone told me. So
I was wondering that, because I don't have a Char that I actively play, but that's awesome. Yay.
Yeah, which that's what I was interested in, because actually when I was playing there was, so I don't know if it negates it or how it makes it work, but because you can, it's an open world part, so other people can be in there. There was someone near me that was a Char, and it didn't like activate PvP, but I guess we could just
they probably just can only attack other NPCs, I would guess.
Yeah, but then you discover that after you kill all the enemies, all of a sudden it just resets and they all come back, and it's like, oh, this is just an echo of, you can't really change the history.
Just cool. Then you go up and read a poem on the tower, which apparently I think it was Traherne had told Timey about.
Yeah,
that was amazing. Where he could only read the last line of it and had always wondered what the rest of it was.
Well, he knew the whole entire thing except for the last line.
Oh, okay, that's what it
because
was.
It got worn off or something through when a whole civilization gets sunk into the ocean, I guess things get worn down. But yeah, and it was kind of that interesting thing where she even mentions it, and it was kind of like sad where it was like, because he was like, oh yeah, he loved that one, and you tell her the last line, she's like, that changes the whole meaning, and it's like, oh, that kind of makes like, Traherne was wrong the whole time of, in that aspect, but it's like, it kind of made me feel bad where it's like, oh, something that he really enjoyed enough to basically tell everybody he met. I mean, it was something I guess he was passionate about, was not exactly the same meaning that maybe he derived from it. So it was kind of like, oh, poor Traherne.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's definitely interesting to try out those 3 areas, and then it kind of progresses into I think that's where I'm not mistaken. Yeah, then you meet up with Koss and Bram, and I think then go to the
Koss and Krossin as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because that's the one thing I did notice in the first instance where the Order of Shadows is their, I don't know if he's their leader, but kind of their speaker is Kossin, who is the, ancestor or the, great grandson. Yeah, descendant. That's what I was looking for. Of Koss. And it's like, then Koss shows up, and I was like, even the whole time I was like, what? This is interesting.
Yeah. What's going to happen now?
Because even when I think I first saw him, and I was like, well, we met Koss, and before he even showed up, I was like, what if Koss comes back? And I bet everybody in my chat was probably like
right, yeah.
And then when he heard his voice, and I look over, I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, they have a whole conversation about it too. It's pretty cool.
Oh, and Chad is explaining the team system for that, or the echo of ore thing, where you're basically placed on the teams, but you can't hurt one another, kind of like what Arlie was saying. So
yeah,
Oh, Guild Wars 3 in space. Well, and that's the interesting thing with those echo with that question mark thing. We did say it was on a different planet, but I'm kind of curious about that because it's like does all of Tyria know about the whole map? I mean, we've seen the whole map. I mean, but is everybody knowledgeable about the whole all of Tyria's landscape? I mean,
I would say
it's
most
like
people are not.
yeah, I was gonna say half the time they don't even know about the dragons. Like,
Yeah.
but they're like, oh yeah, clearly this is in space. Like this isn't on this plane. I'm like, how do you know? There's there's those other islands and stuff that we haven't hit or anything like that. But
Right.
chat's saying there's a Inquest base on the moon. There you go. And they're just making hallucinogenic mushrooms.
Well, further into the story, there is an in-space part, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll definitely get there. But yeah, so when you're going with Koss, like we said before, he tells us about this other area that they used to go to. They used to hang out that was safe and protected, and it turns out to be the Sunspear Sanctuary from Guild Wars 1, which is the Sun's Refuge that they were teasing us about. And when we go in there, we realize that it's been kind of sealed up and it's just a bunch of big cobwebs. We burn those down and we finally get inside. Had to deal with a couple spiders, and like you said, we find out Bram's at the beginning a couple. And then when we start lighting the fires, because Koss says we have to kind of recreate. And I like how he even notices it. They're like, oh my god, it's spiders. And he's like, yeah, but they're not branded. It's good call.
Points it out to you.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
But yeah, so we have to light the different braziers to reestablish the protections that Cormier had in place to hide us from the dangers and stuff like that. So of course that's all covered in webbing, all the different braziers, and Bram's helping us try to rip the webbing off, and we have to protect him from the spiders, which, like we said, he's very scared of. So every once in a while, you have to use a special action key to yell at him to get back to work. Yeah. Oh, I guess you can look at it the positive way. I'm like, get back to work.
Stop being a scaredy cat.
Yeah, you're playing with webs. I'm stabbing a giant spider in the face. I may be the one that is allowed to be a little bit scared.
Yeah. Well, apparently, so the little spiders, if you don't if you don't kill them fast enough, they will apparently jump onto your character and hold on to your character.
Oh, so they kind of do a Karka type thing.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I was like, I'm so happy I didn't know about that, because oh my god, it's terrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of cool that they brought back like the little Karka mechanic thing there, but. Yeah,
the other thing is Koss and Bram have a little thing where Bram's like, I'll clear them out in 10 minutes. And he's like, oh, that's a leisurely place.
Yeah, Koss and Kossin are like, let's show him how it's done. He's like, I can do it in 7, actually. And he's like, all right, do it in 7. And then that gives you a timer or something to...
Yeah, they have a whole thing, which I actually didn't notice the timer. I never realized it was an actual real timer in the thing.
Yeah, I guess it's for one of the achievements.
Yeah, if you beat it within the timer, which apparently I did, because I got the thing, that's how I was like, oh, there is a time limit? Okay. I thought it was just like literally ambient dialogue that had nothing to do with anything, but it's actual related to gameplay stuff. It's funny.
Yeah, and it was kind of nice that they did that, where they integrated it, whereas, in the past with other Living Stories, it was kind of like added on stuff, like I'm thinking of like the ley line thing, where it was like uncover all the mobs in like that like ley line tube in season 2, I think, but it's like this one was more natural, which was a nice touch.
Yeah, it fit in with the actual story. Apparently, if you don't make it in time, like Koss will say something about it, and Bram's like, I just need a little more time.
Mine bugged out, and for the rest of the instance, Bram was just breathing fire. So it definitely changed the mood going forward.
That's amazing.
Like he was just constantly breathing fire.
What did you think about the giant spider eating you and moving you to the other areas?
it was interesting. I thought I like failed or something, like, because it was like it didn't feel like he finished that one brazier when we
Right.
got carried away, and so I was like, oh, did I just like screw it up? Like I can't hit the 7 minute mark or something. But
Mhm.
yeah, I thought it was interesting that it that was a way to get people around there instead of like run back to
Yeah.
the middle and then zigzag back. You know, that would have been kind
Yeah.
of
I I feel like I don't know. Absolutely an interesting way to go about it. I'm not sure I particularly liked it though, like because it didn't really make sense. Like, why would the spider eat you and spit you out where you needed to go? Like, what is
yeah.
working there
Why would
that
it
makes
carry you over there for what reason?
right? Exactly. So for me, that was. I mean, I like that they tried it. It was an interesting idea, but
What if there was always the hidden files of like the spider god or something in Guild Wars 1? What if this was like the spider god returning because the gods were leaving? The cycle is continuing. Oh my god. No.
That's funny.
Is this what you were talking about people outstretching on some of these like small little details, something like that?
Yeah. Oh my god. But anyway, eventually you get through it, clear it up, and then people return. I'm like, yay.
Yeah, we established the base, and basically everybody comes back, and we find out, I think it was even before that happened, like slightly before that happens, and this is why we had to rush things, was Timey says she found Aurene and was bringing her to the base with some refugees, and so we were like, oh, we better, clear it out. And so then they all come in, and then what? Oh, then the place gets attacked by the branded.
Right. We got to run out and do it, and there's one of those rifts right out there.
Yep, and we kill enough branded, and then it kind of continues, and then all of a sudden it goes to a cutscene, and I was like, good on Bram. He's pulling like the Legolas, like bam, headshot, bam. I was like, nice. And then all of a sudden, a couple of things come through the rift, and it's like
which I want to say first. I had a moment where I thought he was just going to shoot at the first thing he saw.
Yeah, because he had his bow pulled, trained on what was coming through that. Yep. And what came through was actually air, her, in like mist form type, ghosty
spirit.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool because you just see him. He's like, "What?" like,
yeah.
And she's accompanied with actually Snaf, which for people who don't know was the other person in Destiny's Edge before the events of Guild Wars 2 that actually died during the fight with Kralkatork originally.
It's Zoja's mentor.
Yeah, so it was actually kind of cool, and I think you were saying that too, was that we actually finally got to see Snaf, interact with Snaf and like hear dialogue, because I think the only thing we've ever had was a statue that Air made at her thing. So we had a character model, but nothing.
Yeah, we've never seen him himself in the game before, so that was cool. And Bram's reactions were so great. He was just like, "Mom, like what is happening now?" And she's like, all business. She's like, "There's a monster coming. We need to kill it. Focus." Like, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. It would be really hilarious if he accidentally shot there. I mean, I don't think it would have done anything to her, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how the Ghost Mist version works, like.
Right. But then they have the whole like talk and stuff after we kill the Rift Stalker, which I like the fight. I like the Rift Stalker fight, the way they structured that, and where it puts out the branded crystals, which you need to kill so you don't get ads and stuff.
Part of me kind of wish it wasn't like right at that like closed off point, because once again I was like spinning my camera for some of that stuff, and it was like, oh, wall. I was like,
right. It was hard to see some of the things. That's true.
But yeah, honestly, that was the one part where I got goosebumps, was when Air kind of pops through the portal. I was like, whoa, okay, we're now finally getting Bram closure here.
Yeah, like, I was literally like dumbfounded until the cutscene ended, and then for like 30 seconds after, I just sat there and was like, oh my god.
Yeah, because honestly, part of me was like, is this gonna be kind of like Heart of Thorns, where we see Air, like
Mhm.
that he's gonna have to
Yeah.
fight his mother again, like?
Right. Yeah.
But then it's like no, and like she's talking with him, I'm like, oh thank God, we don't have to like kill her.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that was something I never thought we would see again. Like we'd seen the Heart of Thorns that was like as a made up her. It wasn't really her. I never thought we would see her in game again and have like dialogue with her. So that was that blew my mind. I was like, holy shit. And we learned from her and Snaf that what's really bad now is Krakatork is eating the magic in the mist.
Oh yeah, because we do
Yay.
find that out. I think early on is one little bit of dialogue through Timy's voice machine thing, communication device, and she says like, "Oh yeah, we can't get a hold of." Uh,
Oh, Cost and I mean not Cost, Jory and Casimir.
Cass, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we then find. Oh, because she first says like, "Oh, they lost Krakatork or something." Because I remember I was like, "How do you lose Krakatork? He
Right.
was the like when we were fighting Balthazar, he engulfed the sky."
Yeah, he's like a moving hurricane. How do you lose that?
Yeah, and it turned out that we find here that he actually went into the mists, and we
Yep.
haven't actually got a hold of
No.
either Cass or Jory at this point. So,
Well, no, they did get a hold of them and
oh, they
found
did.
out they lost them. That's how we found out
Well,
that they
but then
lost
they
them.
couldn't
But
reestablish
yeah,
a like.
right.
So
Yeah, they got a hold of them for like a split second,
yeah.
essentially.
So it's like, or did they get taken into the mist, or did they follow Kralkatork
Right.
into the mist? Who knows?
What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But then, so we had that kind of teaser. We knew he was going into the mist, but we're like, one, how? And two, why? What was he doing? And we find out from there that they were sent by Glint to talk to Aurene and to tell us that Krakatork needed to be dealt with now because he's eating the mist, which can unstabilize all of reality.
which we have been seeing throughout the map and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. That was a big thing. And then Air talks to Aurene and, well, doesn't talk. She pretty much demands that Aurene has to fight Krakatork now, which, I mean, she was being kind of, I mean, I get why she was like that, but she was being kind of a jerk about it.
yeah. I can expect it from the Surin, like, Snaf or something. Like the Surin, they're always like that. I mean,
Yeah. So, and then Aurene has a premonition.
yeah, where it's just, and now I understand why there was that later on that update of, we put a link in to our user agreement about the seizure warning,
Oh,
because
right.
holy crap, it's basically showing her premonition of a fight with Kralkatork, and it's just basically her dying, Aurene dying over and over and over, or getting
Right. Well, like it starts slow where you see
yeah.
2 or 3 like totally out in different permutations, and then it like picks up speed and you're only seeing bits and bits, but at the end of every single one she dies. And it's pretty terrible. I felt bad watching that. Like I teared up a little. I was like, no, we can't let Aurene die. Um so
See,
that
I think
was
they do too good of a job, because I was like, oh, this is sad, but I was like, it is beautiful though.
it is really pretty done in that style. Oh, and they had one of the cinematic team on Friday, and she said that they actually started working on that cutscene over a year ago because of the style it's done in. It's their painterly style, she referred to it as. And
Yeah.
she said that just takes a long time to do and put together. So
I was gonna say yeah, it was in that same style. It just reminded me of like kind of the trailer we had for POF, where it was like Balthazar overlooking going into the Crystal Desert and wanting to put that spike through Kralkatork and stuff like that, or the dragon that we see. And so it was kind of that same art style, and so that's why I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's a sad thing, but it's so beautiful.
yeah. I was pretty upset about it because like that's got to be terrible for Aurene. And then she freaks out and runs out. Literally breaks a hole through the sun's refuge, which is funny because that hole that she breaks out of is what becomes the main portal into the refuge once you unlock it. That's where you're entering and exiting through.
And yeah, like chat saying, it was like 1,000 premonitions that she was having, and it definitely seemed like she was getting overwhelmed and.
Right. Like, you know, can you imagine people were demanding you do this big scary thing, and then you see thousands of possible ways you can do this, and they all end up you being dead. Crazy. Uh-oh. Stream camera and sound out of sync. What happened?
It looks fine on our end. Might be connection or something? I don't know.
I was gonna say Twitch can be wonky sometimes.
Hopefully it readjusts, but it seems like it's fine. But now all we have to do is find all the things we see in the separate attempts.
Well, like,
put them all together.
I think that's what we were seeing, because the first time was her alone. Second time was her with us. The third time that I saw quickly was her with us in airships, and she still died. The time after that, I didn't catch it all, but it seemed like it was building on, like they were adding more things, not doing instead of, mostly. At least that's the way I interpreted it. It's basically, I think it's telling us that we need to do it differently than what we would normally do, but I have no idea what that would be.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like what we tried in the past, having big armies, might not, work out. Especially with Krakatork, that the storm turns things into it. It's like if you take an army of humans, Norns, and Char, you just turned all the ships, and you just, they drive through the storm. They're your enemy now. It's like,
yeah.
But it's definitely interesting, and I think at that point it's like they then have an idea to lure Krakatork out by actually using a magical item, and they recommend Balthazar's sword. So then they actually have you, and it was kind of nice that they had you go back to the old map.
No, just wanted to clarify real quick, because who is it? Asset mentioned that the second permutation was with Char, and I have the video saved on my computer, so I pulled it up real quick. And the second is all of us, the Dragon's Watch, with her. There's Bram and Rox, and our friend we meet later, who I won't mention just yet, is there. So
it is important to note that, because it has dialogue that if you don't notice the person, it's it was kind of like, who is that person? Yeah, it is weird if you don't notice it because of the dialogue, because your character notices it. So if you don't notice it, it's like, what the heck am I talking about right now? It's like, oh, she meant she didn't mean Char.
Character.
She meant
That makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, so you then basically have to go back where you defeated Balthazar, and there's Priory there. They're like, oh yeah, we're cataloging everything and like making sure and trying to find anything that we can get our hands on. And they're like, oh, well, did you see the sword? And it was like, well, with the explosion and how the storm came in and all this stuff, and they have a trajectory thing, conveniently does go back to the original map.
Right. And I was like,
story map.
I was looking at it and I was like, well, does that really make sense? And I was like, it's a little flubbed, I think, but like in general, like you have a thing going this way, a thing going this way, and it goes that way. All right, works out, But
dragon magic.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, like chat says, math. It's
right.
And so then that was the only downside of it, was if you go all the way out there, then it's like you just go back to the map. Like, but it was kind of nice that it has you go to the old maps a little bit. And you find the location. You actually find you go to where the location would have been, and it is exactly correct.
Except
yes. You find a lot of downed priory.
Yep.
And they say that someone came by and was shooting at them and took the sword. It was exactly where the person said it was going to be, but
they said it was a Deadeye specifically, which refer to it as Deadeye, and they were like, he was so strong and so quick and blah blah. We were like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah. So then, where does it take you then? Is it back to one of the old maps, or was it somewhere I think it was in one of the old maps.
I don't remember.
I'm seeing if I can.
I think it was in one of the old maps.
Oh yeah, it takes you. Oh no, that's the Sky Garden. I thought it was one of the old maps. I thought it took you back to Vabi, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's where you found the people. It was in Vabi.
Well, but I thought the person took it back to Vabi. If I wasn't,
I don't remember.
Anyway, it was like an open area, that's kind of like a lot of destroyed rubble. But you go in there, and when you go in the instance, there's a more priory out there going like, we can't get near them, and then all of a sudden they're like, because I think Blish goes with you, and doesn't he even say it's actually not a him or something? Something.
No, it's not Blish. We refer to him as him because that's what the other group told us, and then the priory we ran into was like, it's actually a she, and she has filled the area with poison and shooting out anybody who gets in the area.
Yeah.
Yay. And I will just say, this will surprise nobody who has listened to me talk about PvP at all, but this was my least favorite part of the episode. I hated trying to move around in this area and having a Deadeye shooting at me the whole time. It's a pain in the butt. Drove me crazy.
Okay, chat's saying it's in Jahai.
Right. Okay.
Oh yeah, it is the old fort, if I'm not mistaken. That's
okay. Like, you can move from rubble to rubble, but it's a pain in the butt. And like we said, there's poisons, you're taking damage the whole time, and there's med packs you can find, but...
Well, basically, the way I described it when I was playing it was, anybody here, 90s American Gladiators? It was basically the assault game, where you had the gladiator at the top trying to shoot you, and you had to run from thing to thing to try to get close to him.
Right. Yeah.
But this one, instead of getting hit with a tennis ball, they shot you in the face.
Yeah, it was terrible. And it would stun you every time you got hit, too. Frustrating.
But you had to do that like 3 or 4 times, because as soon as you get close, you take I think 25% health away, and she'll teleport to one of the other areas.
Right, which made it even more annoying, because once you get to her, you've then got to cross 2 more times to finish the fight. It's just frustrating.
Oh, and apparently Renat said there's a hidden achievement for luring one of the yelling branded to her.
Oh, that's interesting, because those branded, all they do, they're the ones that run up to you and explode. So you have to stay close enough so that they don't
do some pretty good kiting. Yeah,
not get so far, all the while dodging her too. That's a pretty hard achievement. Wow.
But yeah, so the whole time while you're fighting her through all these things, your character's just like, why do you look so familiar? Like, you're
right.
It's like, why do I know you? And she's like, you ruined my life and all that stuff. I'll kill you. And you think you're a savior.
You find out that despite her being a Deadeye, she was also a priestess of Balthazar. So she's upset about Balthazar being killed by us.
Yep. And that's why she took the sword. It was like the last remembrance type thing. And eventually, like I said, you're trying to figure out who she is, and you realize that she's the one that was in one of those premonitions, because she's like right in the bottom, like it pans real quick, and it's just her with her rifle, like.
Right. It's interesting.
That is a good point. We didn't kill him; he killed himself.
One of the things that I really liked in the dialogue is I play on a human elementalist, which when I made her as a follower of Balthazar, because like my concept was for her to be a fire elementalist more than anything else. And so like that's how I made her. And there was a part in there and she was like, I understand how you feel. I followed him too. Like his betrayal
cool.
was against me as well, which I thought was a really, really good touch on Arinette's part to have something in there for that.
Yeah, they're getting really good with like kind of the unique dialogue or unique use, like we said before with the char. If you're a char, with the map, so
yeah, just having these little things in there that make it more personal and tie it into things that you've done.
Can't wait till we get to the Norn areas. But yeah, eventually you get she's like, fine, take the sword, and you try to convince her, come with us. You can still like, do good in the world and all that stuff. And she's like, I gave you the sword. We'll see. Like, she's like, kind of like, she's like, I'm not going to come with you right now. Like,
right.
Might be a thing. So we decide to take the sword back, and Blish informs us that, we take it back to Blish, and outside the like little garrison area, he informs us that he's like, yeah, all you gotta do is we gotta infuse it with magic. If you just want to expose yourself to the blighted storm, and our character's like, no.
That was great. Another thing when they showed in guild chat was originally they had that as a thing that you do when they showed some of the early tests of them going around trying to get hit by lightning and having the conversation with Blish that this is not working. This is a terrible idea. And eventually Blish is like, okay, I think if you just go out there and hold it above your head, and the character was like, no, we're not doing this anymore, which I'm kind of happy that they took that out as a thing. Like it could have been fun and amusing, but at the same time, it's really kind of pointless, like if it's not what actually needs to happen, there's not.
Did it feel too much like busy work or?
Right. Yeah. Like how to burn some time or something. But yeah, that was funny.
Like if there was a way where it could actually work if you were successful, but like if you weren't good at it, it was like, okay, well this isn't working. Then I could see maybe keeping it in because it's like, oh, I was able to do it. But then, maybe you had so many issues or like some kind of mechanic that's involved. And then you just have to do it the other way, which the other way after we say, no, we're not doing it. He's like, well, we can actually use, I forget how he words it, but he hints at basically using, which one? I'm trying to remember which one Ritlock has.
Sohathan.
Okay, he has Sohathan. He used Sohathan because that was actually reinvigorated by Balthazar's magic and all that stuff.
I was like, convenient that Balthazar showed him how to do that.
Yeah. So we go back to the Sun's Refuge, and we get Ritlock to actually, put the power into the sword, and all of a sudden the sword starts running off. It's like as soon as that happened, I was like, wait, what? Yeah. I was like, what the heck?
I know. I was like, we just invigorated that for it to go immediately to Krakator. Gosh dang it.
Yeah, and I think that's what they say is that, well, actually it was trying to get back to Balthazar, which was interesting. Right. I was like, how does it know where to, like, is there still something left of him?
Right. Like the residual magic for him is apparently still in the sword some, and Aurene, I guess, is leaking it out because they said that it went right to where Aurene was, so it was sensing it through her.
Yeah. And so at that point, I think when we entered the Sun's Refuge, the what's her face? It's not our Deadeye, the friend, Zareen?
No. Taijin or something like that.
I know because of the Z. Yeah, it's like Zaitan.
Saphira? I don't know. I don't remember.
That's close enough. I'm sure chat will let us know.
Yeah. How did I forget her name already?
Yeah. Well, she doesn't talk with us that much, but she's there, and she is deciding to at least hang around for a little bit. She's still a little Zafira.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's actually kind of funny. Chat actually told me to do this. If you haven't done this, if you go when you went through the hallucinogenic mushroom world rift thing, if you stay in that hallucination for too long, Timey actually states that she actually recorded all that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had that happen. It was great.
If you're there and when Ritlock helps you, you can actually there's actually a dialogue option, and he's like, "So I heard you heard my or you thought my fur was soft." And it's like, "Oh, you heard that, huh?" And
well, there was one.
It's kind of weird because he's like, "Thanks for noticing," and it's like, "What? Is there a bromance happening? What's the?"
Yeah. Well, there was one part where, so if you stayed in during that story part, the mushroom says to you, you think Ritlock looks soft, just pet him. What's the worst that can happen? I was like, oh my God. It was amazing. I loved how Timey was like, oh, I already sent the recording to everybody.
Yeah.
Amazing. It was awesome.
But yeah, so it definitely had some good lighter moments.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we basically imbue that sword, and then there's just kind of this big argument of like what are these next steps gonna be, and how are we gonna lure them out, and of all the people, Blish kind of stands up and is like, kind of gives the inspiring speech of like, you know, all this, you know, what we can do, and like we all have to stick together, and and he's like, don't worry, we have a plan and all that stuff, and he walks off and we follow him. He's like, we're like, so you have that plan? And he's like, not really.
He gets there though.
Yeah, we got the general idea.
It ends up being that we were going to attach a tracker to the sword to get to get Krakotorek to ingest the sword with the tracker so that we can track him around, which is crazy. But you know,
so we then basically take that sword into the mists.
Yep.
And we fight our way there, and Glint's actually being a distraction and has like, you know, like things fighting with her to distract Krakotorek as we try to set up this basically bait. And while Blish is doing that, the sword actually reacts and starts like shooting off fireballs and stuff. So you have that to deal with. Yeah, you have that to deal with, as also with the blighted kind of moving in and trying to destroy it as well.
So, quick question. When you were doing the first part of that and Blish was setting up the tracker initially, were you actually attacked by anything? Was there anything that came your way at all?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had things coming towards me.
So I noticed one of the achievements was to successfully keep Branded off of Blish while he was hooking that up. Nothing came anywhere remotely near me. I went off towards something, but it was outside the zone instance. It was just him. It was literally that entire part was just me standing around for like, it felt like 5 minutes. It probably was like a minute and a half or something. It felt like forever of nothing, of just waiting for him to attach this thing. And it wasn't until he attached the first part that we were attacked. During that whole first part, nothing happened. Ugh.
Maybe the Nornamy just went to go pick a fight or something. Maybe I just, you know.
Hey. Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't get attacked at all. That's it. Oh my God. You just can't see me. It's against the rules.
Oh boy. Everything's breaking.
I need to get a new webcam.
Yeah, I can pop up.
I'll mess with it, don't worry.
I can do this temporarily. It'll look like it's just me. Oh.
See if this lasts.
Okay. Anyway.
All right. So,
yeah, as Blish sets up all this stuff, and all of a sudden it starts to get overwhelming, and Glint's even like, you got to get out, run. Like, it's, like, I can't hold him off. And we find out Blish is like, it was never going to be ready or able to be used in time or something like that. You know, basically was lying to everybody that like I have to stay here and like basically trigger it myself. Basically, he did what was it? Armageddon. He Bruce Willis us.
Yes, it was Bruce Willis. So you had to leave. And okay, so when it says escape on your Raptor, I just kind of ignored that because I was like, I have my Jackal set up. I'm going to use my Jackal. It'll be fine. But yeah, you need to use a Raptor. You're not getting through it if you don't use the Raptor.
Yeah, I've heard you can use yeah, it did say hop on your Raptor. I do remember it saying that, but
Yep.
I remember people saying like, and it could definitely be interesting because it's kind of gets like low gravity.
I hated that part.
Yeah, it could be interesting to try the actual Griffin, but I don't know if it's kind of quick enough for some of it. But
yeah, the space part where it was low gravity, I'm bad at jumping at all in general. I'm really bad at jumping on my mounts. When you get like low gravity where you can't tell like how high you're jumping or how far you're jumping and all of that, I died like 20 times, I swear. It was so terrible. Yeah. Plus you have to hit these like little balls to recharge your endurance. And like I missed so many of those, and once you miss them, like there are certain ones you can probably miss, but some of them you absolutely have to make the jumps because you can't just wait on your recharge because in the meantime,
that was my first mistake was I waited because there's two platforms that like kind of went back and forth.
Right. Yeah.
And I actually waited for that, and I didn't even realize there was a oncoming, branded storm behind me until
and then
later
all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm dead.
Well, I was like on the last couple of jumps, and it was like literally engulfing me. And I was like, I can't see where I'm jumping to, and then it just killed me. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess I just can't stop.
Right.
But
yeah, I still don't have the Griffin, so that's not an option for me. Cheat.
You guys are cheaters.
Yeah,
I used Springer. I went hard mode.
Oh my god.
I never came down.
Yeah. It's possible, Mac, because I was trying to get to the person to unlock the collections for it for a while, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get through the portals, and then I realized, oh wait, I never unlocked the Jackal portal. So then I was working on that, and then I ran out of mastery points, and I still don't have it because I need to go get mastery points. So that's how it's possible.
Mastery run.
Yeah.
You made 2 Griffins, so hey, fair enough. Being Griffin is like most fun I had with POF. Yeah, it was definitely a good series of quests, and
just need to go and do it. Basically, I've been busy.
But yeah, as you're kind of running away from the storm and using these platforms, I think Blish is also talking to you, and he kind of gives you a message of basically, tell everybody what happened, but he also gives us a message of everybody needs to be honest with each other, like no more keeping secrets.
Right. And no more keeping things bottled up. Just deal with shit.
And I don't think he said that, but
it's what he meant. Read between the lines.
But yeah, so we eventually get to the end of these platforms, and Glenn's voice is like, I opened up a rift so you can escape, and we can jump through it. And
which I missed that rift the first time. I
almost did when I got there.
Well, when I jumped past it, I don't know if this is the way it was supposed to happen, but I got like slingshotted back and trajected back towards it so I could get into it. But yeah, I went all around it. It was amazing.
You were like, tease it? You were no harm mode. You just hooked it. Dude, that once again, that was like Armageddon. You hooked around the moon, slingshotted towards it.
Yeah.
Amazing. But yeah, so we get back to the real world, the unmiss Tyria itself.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, okay, so it worked. The tracker's on him, right? And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, yeah, Blish was right and all that stuff. And where's Blish?
Well, like before you come back, Timey messages you, and she's like, "Yeah, you 2 crazy kids, get back here. We can celebrate." And we're like, "Oh."
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Maybe we just
never.
It's like, are we too famous to just leave it all behind and go live a simple life somewhere?
Disappear in a village somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible.
The two inquest dropouts were right, which tells you the inquests are bad. So there you go.
Yeah, but then you gotta say, well, about Blish, he's still in the mist.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Is it really seems like, it makes it sound like he died there as much as a sentient robot with a sentient upload can die, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really heavily perceives it that way. And like when you get back to the camp, and his brother definitely is taking it hard. What's his name? Gork.
Gork, yeah.
He kind of just walks off and does his own thing. But we kind of then
Blish
talk with.
said that he was immune to being branded. I mean, he could have been lying, but he did say that at one point.
Yeah, I remember you were saying that, but I was like, well, he did lie about everything else, but I don't think we've ever seen any branded golems, so that, no. I mean, I think it can only attach to sentient things, which maybe his personality is branded, but the golem is not. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
But yeah, so we kind of deliver the news to Timey. She's tore up, but we kind of deliver that message of, he did tell us all to stop hiding things and be honest with each other. And it goes to a cutscene.
Right.
And she delivers the news that actually her condition has not been getting better. It is now actually terminal, and she doesn't really know how much longer she has to, live, but it definitely seems like at some point she's going to die. I mean, granted, every character will be, it's
at some point.
Yeah, but this is due to the illness and a lot sooner than expected. So, but she's trying to put on a strong face, and she's like, but there's other things to worry about. We got to worry about, finding Kralkatork and stopping all this nonsense. And Bram's like, hey, let's take a minute and focus on you. Like, he kind of stepped in there, and but yeah, hearing that news, so oof.
Ending the episode on an up note. Wait.
Yeah, if you're George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Like, boy, did they just, man, possibly lost Blish. He's not looking so good, but that was the one secret that was being kept, because she was like, she only told Blish that. And I guess that was kind of the hint at like that he was delivering that message. But yeah, it basically kind of ends there of like, what, we got to find Kralkatorg now that we have this tracker on him. So I guess, kind of playing around with like speculation and stuff like that, which, we kind of been dabbling with here and there. But, I think that biggest question right now is, like Chat's saying right now, is he dead?
Yeah, Ritlock is off to the mist, which is interesting.
Yeah, I do not think his circuits will survive the brand unless he had something to slow down the brand. Well, but we've never seen a mechanical object get branded, is the thing. It's always been.
We have not seen a golem in the branding. I don't know if that means that the branding just destroys them completely and that's why they're not, or they just can't be branded. We don't know.
And imagine if Timey sacrifices herself too, then gets branded. Oh, that would be sad. Glint takes over Kralkator's power, and she ends up.
Glint could take over Kralkator's power because she's dead and part of the mist. So, like, we need a live thing to do that. That's what Orine's supposedly going to be doing, if we can figure out some way to do it. Yeah.
Oh my god. What if it goes back to my theory I've been always saying, was that the gods and the dragons are somehow linked, because they're always like, they never want to be,
At the same
the
place.
gods kind of conveniently ran when the dragons started waking up.
I think that more had the point that the gods themselves are very strong magical beings, and the dragons would eat them.
Well, but what if the reasoning behind it is, it was something that Snaf actually said was the reason. What was Glint's the other dragon? Vlast. He was like, Vlast failed because it didn't have a champion. It didn't have you, which Aurene has you. So you guys have to be the one that completes this. What if, and we've already established when we were fighting Balthazar and stuff, we have this bond with Aurene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if it's like the reason she can consume this stuff is because we have that bond with her, kind of possibly like how the gods have the bond with the dragons. But
I think it will come into play. It's just we've got to figure out what else we have to do to make it successful, because we've already seen a few iterations where it's not successful. I wouldn't be surprised if in some way she has to get branded, but like not totally, or something interesting.
Like, which one would have Cormyr been linked with? If it would have been technically the deep sea dragon, since that would have been Abaddon's, because he was the deep.
I would think Abaddon would be, if they were linked in any way, I would think he would be the deep sea dragon.
I'm just trying to think, because when we go into Cormyr's realm in POF, how we started noticing that there was still that corruption in there.
Mm-hmm.
What if that wasn't, people were saying like, oh, that might be Abaddon's like remnants maybe seeping back in or something. What if, because going back to this whole they're linked with the dragons, since the power's been being redistributed, that we've seen the risen, what is it, death touched destroyers and death, or what if it's because she now acquires that power because it's being mixed with the dragons as well? But Abaddon was originally the god of the depths, and I think originally water, then it was given to I think more so I want to say Devona, but that's the warrior. Who's the blue one?
Oh my gosh.
Who's the blue god? No, not. Well, I think it was split between Lissa and, for some time it was Lissa and the healing one.
Yeah, this is beauty, water, and illusion.
Okay. I know eventually it went to Alyssa, but I thought it for some time went to that's gonna bug me. Who's the blue god?
I have no idea who you're referring to. I'm sorry.
Oh, the one with so beautiful that the dude makes the statues. Buena. Buena. Oh my god, that was hurting me. Yeah, I thought for some time she had. Yeah, but I thought she had water for some time. I swore I remember reading that, like, and then it went fully to Lissa eventually, because they basically switched the powers around. Like,
it says here that water was only openly tied to Lissa after the death of Abaddon in 1075.
Well, that just never happened. Okay, I swear I read at some point, but maybe I'm mistaken. My apologies, but all that wasted time for trying to figure out Dwayne's name. God, that was bugging me. But yeah, so yeah, I thought, because that's the other thing is, okay, maybe it went to Grenth, and maybe I was just confused because Grenth is actually Dwayna's kid type thing.
Yep.
So maybe that's where I got the link from, but
maybe
read chat more often. We're reading chat right now.
It's just you guys are a little behind us, that's all.
But yeah, so I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting to see if that's the route it might go. But you know, uh, I know a lot of people were saying like overall, now that we got to talk about the spoilers and stuff, like, did you enjoy the story? Like, it was a one of the best. Like, was it the best one? Like, where would you kind of rank it? Like, chat if.
Yeah, I was gonna say I already said I think it's one of the best. So.
Grant this frozen water. Yeah, I enjoyed the story. I'm confused by it mostly, but I guess that's kind of the point, especially when we're dealing with the mist, which is kind of there's two catch-alls I think in the lore for Guild Wars: dragon magic and the mist. You like the conclusion more than the execution. You didn't really like how it closed out Bram's story. I mean, I like how it gave him closure, but I wouldn't say it closed out Bram's story. I mean, now he can finally move on and probably stop being the mopey person.
Yeah, I like that he finally got the closure he needed on it. That he can go back to not being a character consumed by his grief and not being able to deal with things.
I mean, you say Ghost Mom was more convenient than Batman's utility belt. It was right in the wheelhouse. I mean, Glint, you know, because she came in with Snaf. The person that was going to take out Kralkatork using their brainwave device with Glint. I mean, I feel like Glint, that probably would have been an obvious choice for her, was pick Snaf and probably the leader, especially probably because she knows there's that link with.
Well, Glint knew them fairly well because she apparently had been watching them even before they came to see her. So
was this the end for this season? No, I think, didn't you say? Yeah,
they said on the thing that there's working on episode 5, so there's at least one more episode.
You know, they did literally say when they were leading up during the anniversary thing, they can't wait for us to experience the second half.
Right.
Which kind of insinuates at least 6, but you know, maybe they could have been rounding and there may only be 5 episodes. We don't know, but but yeah, so there's definitely another episode lined up, and then whatever the next season is. But yeah, I'm definitely glad they brought Snaf in. Oh yeah, and Kaith came out of nowhere and said she knows stuff, and then didn't.
Right.
Ended there.
And like Kaith does. Like, I swear, ever since, I think it was the second season, all I want to do with Kaith is just, like, grab her and shake her and be like, ah!
Yeah, when she appeared, I was like, what are you going to take from me now?
Right. What are you up to now? Gosh,
are you going to take Timey after she just delivered this heartfelt, like, story? Like, you're just going to steal her for some reason? This is part of your hunt? Look, whenever they bring out mists and stuff like that, I'm rolling my eyes because mists are the laziest Deus Ex Machina there is. I mean, it's once again, it's hard to say because I'm sure I feel like any good modern storyteller probably usually sets up rules for their systems before they start writing things. I'm sure they have a list of what the rules of the myths are. We just don't know them all yet.
Yeah.
And neither do the characters. But yes, and like I said, I just said a moment ago, dragon magic and the myths feel like a catch-all. Right now, yes, they do. And I totally agree with that. But, you know, there might be limitations. We don't know. We haven't reached them yet. Or you're going to play Scott. Hey, that's perfectly fine. It's... Got no other eggs. Yeah, got no other eggs for you, Kate. Yeah. Go steal something else. And I don't know if it was Mac in chat when I was playing it last night, but they said that it might have been Nocturna, but was stating like they kind of missed Canuck. And honestly, I didn't miss him until they said that. I was like, oh yeah, it would have been great to have like kind of the witty, jabs in there, but I did not miss him as I was playing through it, which, I guess kudos to them, because you then realize, oh yeah, I really do like that character. I would have liked to have heard his opinions or something. But when I was playing through it personally, for me, I wasn't
I
like,
didn't feel like it was
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I would like. I hope they follow up on Cass looking for Tahora. I don't know how to say it.
Well, Cause find Talcora. Talcora, for people that don't know, was a hero you could get in Guild Wars 1 that was also, she was actually the princess to one of the, or like royalty to one of the like three controlling people in Vabi. But I'm sure someone who played Canuck was playing another character. Same with whoever plays.
I mean,
also played a.
It's possible. It's not a requirement, but it's possible that he did. I don't know offhand anybody he did.
Wait, she was also a romantic. I thought, but he chose Milani. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, that was kind of the in between.
He is the last spear marshal of the Order of the Sun Spheres.
They may be pulling a How I Met Your Mother. Oh God. Now I just want to see that Koss talking to Cossin. I mean, like, this is how I met your great grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marjorie and Cass, I do agree, are long overdue.
Right. Where have they been? I want to check in with them. I mean, I know they've been following Krakatorik, but nonetheless.
They didn't do a good job. They lost them. It's one of those moments because the whole time they were like, oh, he's just sleeping on the top of a mountain. And then next thing you know, whoa, he disappeared. Wait, what? Did you look away? What happened? Yeah, I'm glad kind of Koss is back in the picture. I wonder if he's going to be back like a kind of a reoccurring character. Like,
yeah, I'm sure he'll turn up more again.
But I guess we can continue to talk about things, but we're kind of just like kind of dwindling.
I was gonna say I need to actually run soon.
Okay,
I need to eat dinner before D&D.
Fair enough. We'll close out here and we'll do a little bit of a after show. But yeah, thank you everybody for sticking around. We can always continue the conversation on the YouTube, all that fun stuff. But Arlie, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitch and Twitter at Arlie82. Yay.
And you can find me at simply_Deo on Twitch and Twitter. And like I said, last night streamed with Brainwave Device, the new living story, so definitely go check that out. I'll have it highlighted, hopefully maybe today or tomorrow. But yeah, it's, if you are just popping at the very end, do stick around. We're going to do a tiny bit of an after show. I know Arlie's got to run away, and I do have to thank her for coming out with her. She's been sick this whole week, so she's been a quality trooper. But yeah, if you are here, we do highlight this on Twitch. If you prefer YouTube, we just search MAAD Realms, MAAD, and then Realms. Should be the first one that pops up for you. Or you can just search Talking Skritt, should pop up as well. But we will put that up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. But also, if that's too confusing for you, just go to maadrealms.com, and that's where we put all of our stuff up, including Vote to Kick, our new show that we've been doing. It's shaping up very nicely, I must say. But yeah, definitely check all that stuff out. And thank you everybody for coming out, and we'll see everybody next time. Take care. Bye.